object of notation. 1. Nota bene. Unfolding from within and around these beings we call ourselves, we learn to read the substance of the world. To make markings stand as notation, we discern and give symbolic structure to the strands and knots of tangled temporalities that shape materials, including those that are evidence of our own corporeal existence. Tree ring signs of age embedded deep within our fibers, timelines pitched and scaled to resonate with others. Densely or porously textured extrusions of intentions made concrete, twist and stretch to merge and emerge. Churnings of matter, barely glimpsed as salient, their features swiftly and implacably resorbed by liminal pre- and afterlives. Onslaughts of overwhelming, obfuscating stuff that moves us as we move around it, seeking to contain and preserve its essence. 2. Reading things. When dwelling on systems that deploy symbolic codes, we forget the skills acquired to let us see symbols as such, understanding, replacing in time, without which they are meaningless, without which their objects remain indifferent, indiscriminate, impenetrable. Yet objects are themselves stories, histories, residues of deeds, genealogies of engagement with the elements and other objects, cajoled and beaten by their surroundings, by action, interaction, iterative transformations, rovings between the quick and the dead. Things already subject to change are further metamorphosed, sublimated by our elements to catch and freeze frame, represent, evoke ephemeral phenomena we cannot fathom unless we wrench them asunder as things to contemplate and make ours by reining them in, branding them with insignia that testify to mastery, capture, mediation, subjugation. 3. Distancing means. Our tools and interfaces offer a seeming hold over matter. They clutch at and pretend to revive live moments, registered as abstract cardinal points and clusters that control structures, frameworks, skeleton schemes to be filled with syntax and semantics, plotting and logging coordinates of the materials and energies they relay, prescribe, transcribe, translate, inscribe, circumscribe. So many acts that ruse to impose distance and dissemblance, to carve out meaning from chaos. For each such act to set things apart, there are a million potential other ways to project and impose order, ways that form just part of the task of devising artifacts and implements to try and make sense of the world. To try because the world sees and talks back. Artifacts shape us and condition our aptitude to seize the objects that engendered them. 4. Politics of literacy. Mobility, fluidity, non-fixity of gaze and grasp reveal fresh insights, affordances, vectors of attention. But their retention, use and reuse, demands ways to etch and sculpt, to recollect instants, slices, and chunks of time, to somehow recall figments and fragments of qualities fleetingly felt? What connects these fleshless relics, these dried out residues, to the fullness of their past? Do we mark, to remember, to reinterpret, or to create anew? If our maps englobe territories, why bother to journey? If our transcendent codes glide above their worldly reference, why deign to labour with the crass weight of materials? If our writing is on the wall, what real purpose has the edifice? There's risk in the attempt to dissect living experience, to extract and store its core. Notation, like an ill-used knife, may leave artifacts of sacrifice. 5. Palimpsest dynamics. Layers of bygone cultures, explored with novel probes, overflow with untapped findings. When forms long thought inert prove so prolifically fertile, how might our new cultures and their traces compose with such seething potentialities from the past? Palimpsests and stratifications are lodged in geology, in human bloodlines and cultures. Tagged layers, identifiable as historically distinct, nonetheless linked, intersectional, their relational dynamics powerfully syncretic as well as synthetic. Poetic ecosystems wrought by techno-informatic myth-making must be cognized before they can be recognized, notated, annotated. Normative concepts of space, time, species, presence fall short for the boundary-hopping inhabitants of these systems, whose performances translate infinite combinatorial operations, indices of incessant rebirthings and teratological mutations. 6. Scoring scales. Instruments, devices, machines respond to our moves with autonomy and skills, ever growing to outstrip our own. Micro and meta-gesture tunings to things we can't dream of, to flood our perceptions with inconceivable sensations that swarm over, under, around the gates of reasoning and logic, to feed our yearning to think and be otherwise. And so we feel, reflect, and analyze to fix our feelings, scoring the foundations and platforms of future creations. Quintillion daily bites of dark data shower our grey matter, taunting its stubborn mortal limits. Poetic, imaginative agility, our best, our sole recourse, to move beyond the mundane into uncharted terrain. Its dimensions unforeseeable, its notation thus ever tentative. Placeholder scores of omnidirectionally shifting grains of sand.